AITA for not watching my stepkids every weekend? Story 1. Del. AITA that I don't want to watch my husband's 2 kids since both he and biomom BM work Friday and Saturday nights. The BM is moving and she will no longer have a roommate there to watch them. Really, it's just their 9-year-old daughter. They have a 15-year-old son, but he doesn't need a babysitter. So she basically just told my husband that the custody dates are changing to every Friday and Saturday instead of every Sunday and Monday. For more information, when this custody arrangement was made after divorce, she had a normal 9-5 job and he has had this same schedule for years, even when they were married. My husband and I have an 11-month-old, but I tend to go to my parents' house on Friday nights to hang out with them, and they can see our baby. Husband is not thrilled at all with custody schedule, but feels he would rather them be at our house, even if I won't be there all of the time, than alone at her house. Plus, their 9-year-old daughter doesn't really have a bedtime on weekend summer, so it's not even like, okay, well, I just have to do this until bedtime. There are times she will probably, and has in the past, stay up until he gets home. I have told my husband this is the hill I will die on, and I have actually slept the last 2 nights at my parents' house. The BM does not allow me to have a more bonus mom role. We get yelled at any time I try to correct her, ask her to say thank you, etc. Sorry, I know this is all over the place, but I just don't feel like it's my responsibility, and the fact that he and I weren't even asked, we were told, is not okay. He just doesn't feel like dealing with standing up to her because she will scream and cuss at her. They have gone through mediation for child support, which lists what the custody right now is the Sunday and Monday nights. Our advice. It sounds like you're in a tough situation, and it's understandable that you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. Navigating step-parenting dynamics can be challenging, especially when there are disagreements about responsibilities and boundaries. Firstly, it's important for you and your husband to have open and honest communication about your feelings and concerns regarding the new custody arrangement. It's concerning that the BM is unilaterally changing the schedule without discussion, and your husband should advocate for his rights as a parent in this situation. While standing up to her may be difficult, it's necessary to ensure that your husband's parental rights and the well-being of the children are respected. Regarding your role as a step-parent, it's crucial to establish clear boundaries and expectations with your husband and the BM. While it's admirable that you want to be involved in the children's lives, it's also important to respect the boundaries set by their biological parents. If the BM is resistant to your involvement, it may be helpful to seek the guidance of a therapist or mediator who specializes in blended family dynamics. Ultimately, it's essential for all parties involved to prioritize the best interests of the children and find a custody arrangement that works for everyone involved. This may require compromise, communication, and potentially seeking legal advice if necessary. Remember to take care of yourself emotionally and prioritize your own well-being as you navigate these complex family dynamics. First comment. I think they can be left alone, but leaving a 9-year-old alone every Friday and Sat is just a bit sad for her. IMO. My parents started leaving me for a few hours after school every day, but only at about 12. I only have a toddler, so can't comment on when she has older, but I think I could leave a 9-year-old alone, but leaving them so frequently just seems lonely. Sure, she has her brother, but he doesn't seem to want to keep her company. If she is also immature for her age, her needs might be more. And having 3 adults unable or unwilling to spend time with her on a weekend when you normally spend time with your family at that age seems a bit sad. Maybe colored by the fact it wouldn't be as normal now as it was in the past. I also think if you need to work, you need to work, but that won't affect how a child might feel. If it's normal for all your friends, it's one thing, but if the accepted norm is not, that it will also impact how it's viewed by the child. Second comment. Your NTA. Be clear with your husband that you won't be home Saturdays till 6 or whenever at your parents'. Then, if you value your relationship with stepdaughter and husband, talk to him about active time sharing with SD. Who's going to be home for her and teen son when? Someone needs to be with her, not to keep her from sticking pennies up her nose, but to create a relationship that keeps her from seeking 22-year-old online boyfriends when she's 14. New, that could never happen. The 15-year-old should be able to watch the 9-year-old, but the husband needs to step up. And from personal experience, if the teen leaves his sister alone for long periods at 1 years old, she can't get his attention, though he's not required to give attention. They have no structured outings or activities that make her feel loved. By 13, she will be acting out for attention. And that will cause you up massive headaches, and why all will wonder how it happened. Someone needs to nurture the 9-year-old consistently. And it shouldn't necessarily be op, but if no one does it, it's going to cost op in the long term anyway. Story 2. I 44F am being pressured by my family to apologize for my daughter 18F scratching her uncle, but I refuse. How do I deal with this? Recently, mine 44F and my husband's 44M families had a big get-together at our home. We have an 18-year-old daughter, who was excited because she would get to see her cousins Sarah and Amy, who she loves. At the party, her cousins arrived and my daughter ran over and gave each of them a hug. Their dad, John, who is my husband's brother 50M, laughed and asked my daughter, "Where's my hug?" She didn't hug him. People kind of laughed it off and the moment passed. She and her cousins went off together, and I went to the kitchen to prepare food, thinking nothing insidious had happened. No more than 15 minutes later, I heard my daughter yelling in obvious distress, and I dropped everything to rush out to the garden. There I found John with a red mark on his face. My daughter was holding hands with Sarah. John went inside to get ice for his face, while Amy told me what happened. It turns out that John had approached her and continued asking my daughter for a hug. The girls told him to leave her alone because she didn't want to, and he'd continued trying to get my daughter to hug him. At the moment he actually got her in his arms, she scratched his face. After comforting my daughter, I confronted John, who did nothing but say she scratched me. By this point, everyone heard what happened, including my husband, who was furious. To our disgust, people defended John and demanded our daughter say sorry for scratching him. I said trying to force something on my daughter had been the reason for all this in the first place, so I wouldn't be making her say anything. Most people left afterwards. Family are blasting us for not making her apologize, but I think his very concerning behavior is where the focus should be. What can I do to navigate this situation? It's a lot, and I'm a little blindsided. TLDR, my daughter scratched her uncle, and my family want an apology from her, but I'm more concerned about his behavior. Our advice. Navigating family dynamics can be challenging, especially when faced with a situation like this. Here are some steps you can take to navigate this situation. Prioritize your daughter's well-being. Your daughter's well-being should be your top priority. Make sure she feels supported and validated after what happened. Reassure her that her reaction was understandable given the circumstances. Discuss boundaries with family. It's important to have a conversation with your family, particularly John, about respecting boundaries, especially when it comes to physical contact. Explain that your daughter's reaction was a result of feeling uncomfortable and pressured. Emphasize that her boundaries should be respected. Stay firm in your stance. You've made it clear that you won't force your daughter to apologize for defending her boundaries. Stick to your decision and continue to support your daughter. It's essential for her to see that you have her back in situations like this. Communicate openly if possible. Have an open and honest conversation with your family about what happened and why you're concerned about John's behavior. Try to express your viewpoint calmly and assertively, emphasizing that your priority is to ensure everyone feels safe and respected. Set boundaries for future interactions moving forward. Establish clear boundaries for interactions with John and other family members. Ensure that your daughter feels comfortable and safe in their presence, and make it clear that any attempts to pressure her into physical contact will not be tolerated. Seek support if needed. If the situation escalates or you continue to face pressure from your family, consider seeking support from a therapist or counselor. They can provide guidance and help you navigate these complex family dynamics. Remember, you're doing what you believe is best for your daughter's well-being, and that's what matters most. Trust your instincts and continue to advocate for her. First comment, please check in on her. He may not have done anything inappropriate before, but she clearly was uncomfortable in some way before the scratching happened. When I was a kid, I had this great uncle who would force tickles on us kids. First off, I'm extremely ticklish and hated it from anyone, but second is that his tickles King hurt as he was too rough. I have clear memories 35 years later of me begging him to stop while my parents' other relatives watched, laughed. I was never worried about him usually, but I hate the fact that my parents never made him stop when I was clearly distressed by him. Unfortunately, it's left a lasting impact on me, as my son learned when I hit him after he snuck up behind me to tickle me. I told him many times not to tickle me, so don't feel bad for him. He had plenty of warning. Second comment. He touched her without consent. Full stop. That is beyond inappropriate, and she absolutely deserved to defend herself against someone larger than her who breached her very clear physical boundaries. I recommend talking to her and finding out if he's ever touched her against her will before, or if she experienced any other kind of sexual trauma previously you are unaware of. Please note this is always a valid reaction when touched without one's consent, but it might be worth checking in just in case. As for your family, I'm so sad to hear they went this route, but not at all surprised. It's all about keeping up appearances, right? If there are family members you want think are salvageable, I recommend trying to explain once. Send links to some articles about consent and see if it helps. Otherwise, cut the apologists off. Your child and her comfort and safety should be everyone's #1 priority.